Hey guys, I'm Leo with Dreaming Tree, founder and photographer for the company. And today I'm going to show you how to take awesome photos of your paper crafts using some very inexpensive items and your very own smartphone. If you're familiar with the product photography on the website, you'll know that we spend a lot of time and there's a lot of money invested in the equipment to make those photos what they are. And I realize that not everybody has thousands of dollars to spend on cameras and equipment and lights and this and that, but for roughly $20, $25, if not less, depending on where you shop, you can actually take some really great photos with your smartphone. Smartphone technology, especially the cameras, have come a very long way and they take really great photos. Some of the newspapers are even sending their photographers out with just smartphones now. Now, I wouldn't do that, but they really have come a long way and the quality is exceptional. So first thing you need is an iPhone, and the newer it is, the better the quality. So the next thing you want to get your hands on is a piece of poster board. Now I'm actually holding a modified white seamless background paper that photographers typically use, and I cut it to roughly the dimensions that you would see in a typical poster board that you would find in like a school supply section at your grocery store or at Hobby Lobby. Next, you want to get yourself a light source. In this case, I have one of these flood lamps that I purchased at Home Depot, and I actually have a 200-watt light bulb in here. Now you may want to check the specifications on your flood lamp and make sure that it can handle this type of wattage. I'm actually probably putting way too much in here, but I'm present, I'm not letting this run, so if it catches fire, I'll probably have to run inside the house and grab a fire extinguisher. Now this next item is not completely necessary, but I do like it, and I'll show you why. And it's just a nice piece of foam board that you can get at your local grocery store or even at the craft supply store, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, or Joann's. And finally, my favorite tool, and there's two reasons that you're gonna wanna get one of these. One is to diffuse your light. This is called the diffuser. And two, it kind of makes you feel like a magician. Wingardium Leviosa! So just over here is the little setup that I created for the photographs. And I'm gonna show you exactly what I did, how I placed my lights, and how I took the photos to come up with the end result. Okay, so let's take a look at the setup. What I've done is I've taken this floodlight, and it's got a really cool clamp on it, so that you can pretty much clamp it to anything. If you don't have, in this case I'm using a tripod, you can pretty much use anything like a chair, or if you've got like a well-trained cat or something and you can get them to hold it, then that's great, or a husband might help. Now the project right now is blown out because this light is way stronger than the lights that are hitting me, so you probably can't see it, but you will in just a second. So we've got the light set up on one side. I've got the diffuser between the light and the subject that we're photographing. So if we were to take it away, it would cast a very harsh shadow on the subject. And I'll show you that here in a minute. But we've got the diffuser to take the light and soften it, okay? So one other thing that you should be aware of is the closer you have the light to the diffuser, the more diffused it will be. You pull this back and it will still have you actually will have more of a shadow. So if you want more of a shadow, you can take your light and move it back. If you want less of a shadow, you want to get your light as close as possible to the diffuser. Whoa. The diffusers are very heat resistant, so they hold up very well to high intensity light bulbs. They're designed for that. But they can turn yellow if you get it too close, and they possibly burn if the light bulb is way too strong, so be careful with that. So once you have your light set up, you want to position your diffuser in a way that creates a nice even light on your subject and on the background. You want to just make sure that there's no harsh light in your frame when you begin to photograph your craft product. Now I may look a little bit dark right now because this light is so intense that it's brighter than the lights that are hitting me, but as you can see in the background here, I've got the poster board up against the wall, taped to the wall, and then seamlessly draped down so that it curves really nicely to create a very seamless background. And then I also have it on the table to create a surface for our photograph. Now finally, instead of getting another light and another diffuser, you can get yourself a piece of foam board and just prop it up, and what that does is it actually takes this light and it bounces it off of the foam board and onto your subject. So it's not as intense, but then again, when you're photographing this stuff, you don't always want everything evenly lit. You want to create some dimension and some interest in your photo, and that's going to help you achieve that. So now that you have everything staged, let's grab your smartphone and let's take some photos. So now I'm using an iPhone 6s, and I actually have a special app that I use called ProCam, because it actually gives me a little bit more control over the final image. So go ahead and open up your camera app and begin to frame your photograph and take a look and see if it looks good. Now in this case, I'm getting a little bit too much shadow on the left-hand side, so what I'm gonna do is actually just bring this in just a little bit so that it bounces more of that light over onto the left side of my ornament. And try to get it nice and centered, and go ahead and hit your shutter. It looks like the white balance is not exactly white. So with this ProCam software, I can actually change the white balance so that it doesn't look as red. I want this to be nice and white as far as the background goes. So I can adjust the white balance. So I'm gonna do that right now. And I'm gonna go ahead and take another shot. So I've shot my ornament, and I also want to take a nice photograph of this card, this really cool bendy card. So again, I'm trying to get eye level, because if you shoot too high or too low, you may skew the look of the actual item, and you don't want to do that because it would kind of look really weird and distorted. So try to get eye level with your product, and then go ahead and fire a photo. So that's pretty much it. There's not much to it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the final photos. So I didn't want to go too crazy with all the technical details, because ultimately you're gonna let your camera automatically set the exposure and all that stuff. And that ProCam software that I use, occasionally I will adjust the white balance, because I notice that the camera doesn't always do a good job of getting me those pure whites. So if you've taken my suggestions and you set up your little scene just like I did, with your diffuser and your reflector and the background paper and your light, and as long as you got real up close to your subject and had a great composition, it was nice and focused, and snapped your photo, the results should be great. The camera has a really great ability to automatically set itself up for the optimal picture. Now again, as I mentioned earlier, the only thing that I typically do with the ProCam software is adjust the white balance, because sometimes it comes out a little bit too red, and that is a byproduct of the environment. So because some of my walls are brown, that color does bleed into the photo and occasionally will throw off the white balance sensor in the camera. So you could just go in there and adjust the white balance, and on that ProCam software, it's AWB, Auto White Balance, or WB White Balance, and you can move it up and down until it looks nice and white to you. With the photos that I take for Dreaming Tree, there's kind of a lot of science behind the scenes to get those optimal photos, but you don't have time for that, you don't have time to learn it, and I don't blame you. You want to craft, and you want to just take a great photo, and that's hopefully what we accomplished today. So the photos that I'm about to show you right now, aside from cropping, there's absolutely zero photo manipulation in these final photographs. And look at the sharpness, the contrast, the color, and just the overall composition of these photos. They look great, and they're gonna look great when you post them on your Cricut Facebook group, or your Silhouette Facebook group, your Sizzix Facebook group. It will really draw attention, because the main thing that we're doing is we're trying to put the focus on your product and not so much on things that are in your environment. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope that I've helped you learn a little bit about taking a better photograph. And I really do hope to see some of the photos that you've taken using these tips and tricks that I've given you today. So be sure to visit our website, Dreaming Tree. It's www.3dsvg.com for really awesome SVG files for your Cricut Explore, Silhouette Cameo, the Sizzix Eclipse, and any electronic cutting machine that works with SVG files. And also don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, as well as Pinterest. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.